Senator Chuck Schumer, House Leader Hakeem Jeffries joined forces today in a joint news conference condemning the Republicans' what they call GOP scam bill. Here's what Jeffries had to say.
An honor and privilege to be joined today by Leader Chuck Schumer. We've been working closely with Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats in a unified way to stop the Republicans' one big ugly bill from ever becoming law. Later on today on the House floor, Republicans will have an opportunity to stop the GOP tax scam and address the concerns that have been raised by dozens of House Republicans with respect to the damage that the one big ugly bill will do to everyday Americans. The GOP tax scam represents the largest assault on health care in American history. More than 16 million Americans will lose access to health care in the United States of America as a result of the one big ugly bill. Hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, and people will die because they'll lose access to the medical care that they need. Tens of millions of additional Americans will pay higher premiums, co-pays, and deductibles. There are more than a dozen House Republicans who have indicated that they don't support cutting Medicaid for the people that they represent. Those House Republicans have a chance to stop this bill from even being sent over to the United States Senate by voting no on the rule today. Other House Republicans have indicated that they don't support the cuts to the clean energy tax credits that have generated jobs and economic opportunity in their communities. Yet somehow, mysteriously, they voted for the one big ugly bill a few weeks ago, but now these House Republicans have the ability to stop the GOP tax scam from being sent over to the United States Senate. It's strange to me that you have Republicans who voted for a bill that they apparently dislike and then publicly sent a letter to their Senate Republican colleagues to say, stop these provisions from ever becoming law. I mean, that's the height of irresponsibility. Vote yes and then hope for the best. No, you have a job to do in the House of Representatives. And now you have a second chance to actually stop this one big ugly bill and the provisions that you disagree with, whether that's the cuts to Medicaid or the cuts to clean energy tax credits or the prohibition against regulating artificial intelligence across all 50 states, or the aggressive overreach that many Republicans have complained about in terms of trying to strip away the ability of federal courts to issue contempt orders against an out-of-control executive branch. Every single one of those Republicans, dozens of them, now have an opportunity to actually act responsibly, vote no against the rule that will be on the floor of the House, and stop the GOP tax scam from even going over to the United States Senate. I'm thankful again for the leadership and presence of Chuck Schumer. It's now my honor to yield to him.
Thank you. It's great to be back here in the House, and I want to thank Hakeem for the great job he has done and constantly does against this big, ugly bill. Now, as Republican Congress members went home after voting for the bill, they got a huge amount of flack, because the more the public knows about this bill, the less they like it. And so many of them said, well, I didn't like that part. I didn't like this part. I didn't even read the bill, some of them say. Well, now is their opportunity to make the changes that they told their constituencies that they don't like in the bill. The bottom line is, what is a Congress member's core power embodied in the Constitution? The power to vote. And they ought to exercise that power to vote this afternoon. because it's a unique opportunity to change this bill. If it's because they didn't technically provide the right bill to pass the Senate, it has to be sent back to the House. And if even a handful of Republicans vote no this afternoon on the rule, they will have that opportunity. They will have the opportunity to change the vicious cuts on Medicaid that hurt so many, that will close rural hospitals in many of their districts. They have the opportunity to restore the tax credits on clean energy, because if they don't, it's going to affect their districts. At least in the Senate, 70%, 75% of the clean energy projects are in Republican states. And I imagine it's not that dissimilar in terms of districts. If they want to stop the vicious cuts to SNAP, if they want to prevent the billionaires from getting tax credits, whatever they went home and told people they didn't like. And a few of them said they didn't even read the bill. And many of them whispered to each other, we didn't know this was in the bill, particularly on the energy tax credits, which was done at the dark of night because Chip Roy and his right-wing Texans just have a religious hatred of clean energy. So now's the time. This is a golden opportunity. If they really mean what they say and they want to change the bill, this is their golden opportunity. Don't throw the key away. Don't shrug your shoulders a second time and say, well, there were things I liked in the bill and didn't like. This is the chance to change it. And I say, and we say, to every Republican Congress member, this vote shows if you're real when you said you want to scale back clean energy, when you said you don't like the Medicaid cuts, when you said the SNAP cuts are too deep, when you said the court's powers of contempt should not be taken away. If you're real about it, if you're not just BSing your constituents, vote no, and then you have an opportunity to change the bill.
Rebecca, do you believe that how this presentation resonates? Is there a different way that Democrats should be highlighting the crazy, nonsensical, outlandish things in this bill?
Yes. I mean, no one's really going to be moved by anything that Chuck Schumer says at this point, right? That's not compelling TV. It's not compelling news. They have to take this fight out to the public. They need to show up in districts and they need to go through and list, this is the community hospital that will be shut down if this bill passes. They need to go line by line, like show up to Tennessee. As much as Marsha Blackburn always used to talk about, how all the great things that TennCare is doing, talk about how TennCare is going to be undermined, it's going to be decimated. And I think it's over half of kids in Tennessee use TennCare, aka Tennessee's Medicaid. Talk about it, call it out. But just like whatever it is that the minority leader was trying to do, to me, that's not effective. Like, I'm going to be honest, even listening to Chuck Schumer, I kind of tuned out what he said. Like, I heard him talking, but then I didn't even really focus. And I'm someone who is locked in to these public policy issues. Democrats have to figure out what its soul is as a party, right? The reason why a lot of Americans are saying that they don't see a big difference between Republicans and Democrats, it's not just the policy issues of whether or not you're for Trump or it's against Trump. It's even how they talk about it. It's the framework, because at the end of the day, I think Chuck Schumer is more concerned about some of the corporate interests that may back him than actual delivering good policy for the American people in meaningful ways that the American people can easily digest. Like this wasn't it. It didn't even capture me.
Joe?
The thing that's good about Republicans is that they talk in third grade language. And we got to get better at speaking to people in a way that meets them where they are. Now, we can have this whole discussion, oh my God, we shouldn't have to talk, that low, be that simple. No, you can speak in complete sentences, not undermine anybody's intelligence, and talk in a way that's revelatory for people that know a little bit more, that are a little bit further along. Somehow, some way, the travesty here is that people don't seem to understand that Democrats actually, most programs that they come to rely on, most things that they have in their lives that are any good for working class people came from Democrats, almost always. And we typically are the ones on the right side of that. So how do we translate that to people? And this is an example, this big, beautiful bill that they're actually giving you something that's doo-doo and telling you that it's ice cream. They're saying, oh no, we're not cutting Medicaid. We're just changing the requirements so that we kill waste. No, you're cutting Medicaid. You're cutting it. Okay, you are cutting it. How do we make sure that we get that to people in precise language so that they stop voting against their own interests? That's the big challenge, because I don't know if we look too much like them or we look too different from them or whatever it is. I don't even know if I have it figured out, but we've got to speak in precise, everyday language. We can have a discussion some other time. I had a discussion with Pete Aguilar about this. Like, is Schumer still the guy? I mean, it's an open question as to whether, he still seems to be the guy, but there's an open question as to whether he ought to be. And so we have to talk about this and make sure we break this down to people in a way that they can understand and give them something that they can get behind so that there's less smoke and mirrors, and so that what is being portrayed is truly the reality, that we are the good guys as it pertains to a policy standpoint, and that should really be coming across.
Joy.
All right, look, all that is fine, but this is about legislative time. This is legislation. We need groups who are on the ground. It's great that they are protesting. That's wonderful. But we need them to pick up the phone, get on their email, and write their members. If they are a citizen in that district, they need to call their member of Congress, especially the Republicans, but also the Democrats. If you want to help Chuck Schumer, if you want to help Hakeem Jeffries, you have to give incentive to the members of Congress that they are trying to appeal to. I agree. It looked pretty feckless. I agree that, we can ask questions about, do we have the right leadership for this time? That is not what is of issue right now. What we need are enough people calling. I've been a Senate Chief of Staff. What we care about is how many people thought enough of this issue to call in and to make their voices known. That's how they're measuring it. How many people are concerned about rural hospitals closing? How many people are concerned about the fact that work requirements, we already know this from when they've been implemented in other states, actually cost more than they save and kick people off the rolls. They do not do what you might think they do. How many people know that people will be kicked off Medicaid, that it will be more difficult for women to get the maternal health that they need? How many people know that? That's our focus, along with all of the other problems in the bill that are not healthcare related. This bill kills people, and it does it so that it can give tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans, to an oligarchy that is undermining our democracy. Those are the basic facts. But you got to get on the phone. You have to do that. If you're not doing that, you aren't doing shit, and I don't want to hear about it.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.